This is our 8th maths lesson and we will be starting a new topic on angles. Today we will be identifying right angles, obtuse angles and acute angles. An angle is the space between two lines that touch. Here are some examples. The first angle you can see is a right angle. The space between the two lines is 90 degrees. The angle just below it looks similar but has a little box in it. That little box shows us that it's 90 degrees and that it's a right angle. Next to it, in the middle, there is another angle. This is an acute angle because it is less than 90 degrees, it's smaller. The third angle is called an obtuse angle. This is because it is bigger than 90 degrees, it is bigger than a right angle.
Here we're going to work out whether these angles are right angles. Now I've got this box here, this square. You can use something similar at home. You can either cut the corner off a piece of paper, or if you have something that's square or a rectangle shape, you could use that too. So here I've got my first angle. I need to work out whether it is a right angle or not. I'm going to straighten up my square, my box, and then slot it in. Now I can see that my box, my red box, can slot into that angle perfectly, so it must be a right angle. This angle here looks a bit like a right angle, but it looks a bit different. So I'm going to see whether it is actually a right angle, but it's tricking me and showing me it's in a different way. See, my box can slot in perfectly again, so it must be a right angle. Now this angle down here looks a bit different. When I think of a right angle, I always think of it as an L, and this doesn't look like an L. However, it's really important to remember that a right angle doesn't just have to be one way, it can be turned around in lots of different ways. So let's see if this angle here is a right angle or not. I'm going to turn my box or my square so that it can slot in. And there, my red box has slotted in perfectly. So this must also be a right angle here. Now I can move on to this angle over here. This one doesn't immediately look like a right angle, but I'm going to use my red box to check anyway. I'm going to put it there and line it up nice and neatly. Now my red box does not slot in perfectly here. There is this extra space. This angle here must be bigger than a right angle, bigger than 90 degrees. This means it's an obtuse angle. Let's have a go at this angle up here. If I straighten up my box a bit. Oh, I straighten it up perfectly. I'm really pleased with that. This angle is smaller than a right angle. It's less than 90 degrees. So that means it's not a right angle, it's an acute angle.
We are now going to find the right angles, acute angles and obtuse angles in this picture. Now to do this, I have cut the corner out of this piece of paper here and coloured it in so it's clear, and I've also added that little box in to show that it's a right angle. I'm going to use that corner there to identify whether angles are right angles, acute angles or obtuse angles. So here is my picture. You guys have got a different picture. You guys have got 3 boats, but I've got this alien robot creature that I made. So I think the first one I'm going to do here, I can slot my little right angled square in perfectly. So I know that that angle there must be a right angle. So I need to colour it in red. I'm going to do the same for this one here at the top. And again, I can see it slots in perfectly, so that must also be a right angle. Now I'm going to have a go at working out the eyes. If I use my little square and slot it in here, Unfortunately, it does not fit in perfectly. The line goes along the bottom, but then it cuts through the middle of the square. So this angle here is smaller than a right angle, it's less than 90 degrees, so it must be an acute angle. So I need to colour that one in green. Okay, let's see if I can find an obtuse angle here. Oh, I've got one. On the ear here, where the ear joins onto the head. I think it might be an obtuse angle, but I'm going to use my little square to work it out for sure. There, I can see that the angle here, this line to here, this line here, is an obtuse angle because it's bigger than a right angle. It's more than 90 degrees. And I can see that that's true because my little yellow square does not slot in perfectly. There is all this extra space here, so it must be bigger than a right angle. So I need to colour that one in blue. Okay, so far I have got 2 right angles, 1 acute angle and 1 obtuse angle. I'm going to stop now, but you guys can find as many as you can in your pictures.